Good morning, you guys. I'm excited about today's video. We're talking about left versus right power pedal in a helicopter. What does that actually mean? Okay, so different helicopters have a different rotation of blades, either left or right rotation of blades, and this causes different power pedals or torque pedals in the helicopter. So let's talk about those. In general terms, we're going to be talking about a North American versus a European helicopter, but I know there are some exceptions to that rule. Some European helicopters have the same rotation as a North American helicopter. But here's the main deal, okay? If you're in a North American helicopter, the blades are going to be spinning counterclockwise, okay? So that means they're going to be spinning around to the left. So if you're looking down from the top on the helicopter, blades are spinning to the left. That causes a torque reaction that causes the helicopter to want to spin to the right. So if the helicopter picks up in the hover, you don't do anything with your pedals, pedal controls, the helicopter is going to start spinning around to the right in a North American helicopter, or let's just talk about a counterclockwise rotating helicopter, okay? This causes you to have to use left pedal to stop that rotation, okay? In a European helicopter, or let's just call it a clockwise rotating helicopter. So the examples would be a counterclockwise rotating helicopter would be like a Robinson helicopter, for example. And a clockwise would be something like a Cabri that we fly, or an Astar or something like that. And that's going to be a clockwise rotating rotor system, and that's going to cause a torque effect to want to spin the helicopter to the left. Therefore, we need right pedal on liftoff, okay? So when you're in the hover, you're using opposite pedals. Now, there's some misinformation out there about this. Some people have asked me, okay, so are the pedals actually backwards? Do they actually work backwards in these two different types of helicopters? No, the pedals work exactly the same way. When you're sitting there in the hover, if you want the nose to go to the right, you're going to push right pedal. If you want the nose to go to the left, you're going to push left pedal. That doesn't change no matter which helicopter you're in. The thing that does change is the torque effect in which pedal that you have to apply, just naturally a certain amount of pressure to be able to counteract that torque effect. Okay. Now, the question that I've been asked, and the reason for this video, is I want to talk about what are the main differences. Yes, I understand that you have to push right versus left pedal, but what are actually the differences physically and psychologically between the two, and how hard is it to switch between the two helicopters? We have this as a great example in our company here, because we do the majority of our training right now on the Cabri G2 helicopter, which is a clockwise rotating rotor system. And then we do transition training to, let's say, the Robinson. So the R44, let's say the R66, which is a counterclockwise clockwise rotating. And so you're going to be using opposite pedal. Now, interesting enough, when we first got into this, I personally thought it was going to be a bit of a big deal. I had only flown a couple of clockwise rotating rotor systems before this, and so I didn't have much experience with it. And so I wasn't sure how it was going to be for our students to transition back and forth. So the idea at the beginning, the initial part was, okay, let's get all the Cabri time out of the way with, and in the very end, we'll switch over to the counterclockwise, the Robinsons, and then we'll transition, teach them how to use the opposite pedal, and then hopefully they get it in the short amount of time that they're going to be on those helicopters. What we found after a bit of practice and experience was that the students weren't actually having any troubles with this. No troubles at all. Maybe the first 5, maybe max 10 minutes that they hop into the helicopter were they actually experiencing some troubles with this, and it was just a bit different for them, but not a huge challenge. Definitely by no means how we had hyped it up, and how sort of the broad industry sort of thinks about this, or maybe not industry, but the broad public thinks about this, and specifically from people that don't have experience in both types. They've just only flown one type, which I was in that camp for a long time. For probably 6,000 hours or something like that, I was sort of in that camp where I had pretty much predominantly only flown one style of helicopter, in the sense of counterclockwise rotating. Okay, so we started to analyze this, and we started asking ourselves, why on earth is this happening? Why is it that there isn't such a big deal between the two? Now, what was interesting to me is when I went and did my very first Cabri flight, I went to a school that had Cabris, and I did probably a 45-minute flight or so, and the instructor ran me through all the emergencies and everything. And before we got in the helicopter, he gave me this big briefing. Okay, we're gonna pick up in the hover, and it's gonna be, let's see here, so it's clockwise rotating, so it's gonna be right pedal, okay? So we're gonna pick up in the hover, and it's gonna be right pedal. and then we're gonna go through translation. You're gonna have to put a little bit of left pedal and then right pedal, and then we're gonna enter an auto rotation. It's gonna be this, and he went through all the different stages of all the things we're gonna do, jam pedals and this and that, and every single stage, he was an incredible instructor. Every single stage of the flight that he was talking about, he was able to describe to me exactly which pedal I was gonna apply and how much pedal I needed to apply. Now, here's something that's very interesting. If you back up this video 45 seconds, you'll see I paused there for a second. I actually had to think through, okay, I'm in a Cabri, therefore it's clockwise rotating, torque is to the left, I have to push right pedal. This is a very interesting thing, okay? For my whole career, I've been taught and trained, and this is something that we teach and train, to not put any emphasis on which pedal you're gonna need on any state of flight, okay? This is the paramount thing. This is the key I want you guys to remember in this video, particularly if you guys are gonna be flying one of those two types or going back and forth between the two, okay? Don't think about which pedal you're gonna need in a hover, in an auto rotation, if the engine fails, if you get a jam pedal. Don't think about that. You have one job as a helicopter pilot, okay? You fly that, you use those controls to fly the helicopter the way that you want to fly it, okay? That means if you pick up in the hover and the nose starts spinning to the right, what are you gonna do? You're gonna apply some left pedal, okay? If the helicopter picks up and it starts spinning to the left, you're gonna apply some right pedal. If the engine quits and the nose starts yawing to the right, you're gonna apply some left pedal, and vice versa with the other one, okay? Any state that the helicopter's in, you're just gonna apply what it needs, whether it's collective, cyclic, pedals, whatever, to make the helicopter fly the way that you want it to fly. That is critical, and we focus on this so hard. We teach in all the different stages of the training. Yes, this is what happens, here's the aerodynamics, this is the pedal you would apply and so forth, but then we leave it there and we don't labor over that point. We just continue on and say, if the helicopter is doing something that you don't like, fix it. Put in the control input that you need to be able to fix the problem. And I think that this type of training, this style of training, is what has really made the difference for us. Our students, again and again, now we've been training over 3 years with the Cabri, and again, we're seeing we can transition a student from a Cabri flight, maybe 30, 40 hours in a Cabri, a couple hours in the Robinson, then back to the Cabri, a couple more hours in the Robinson later on, back to the Cabri, and we can switch back and forth between those helicopters, and we feel totally comfortable and confident that the students are going to be able to get the correct pedal input. And like I say, after the first few minutes where they pick it up and they're like, oh, this is weird, it's opposite pedal, but you know, they know about it, of course. They figure it out and then they just don't even think about it anymore. And the biggest difference, interesting enough, is the Cabri requires a lot of pedal input because the Fenestron tail rotor, the way the Fenestron is designed, you actually need a lot of pedal input. And so the biggest difference that they notice is that you use a lot of pedal in the Cabri and very little pedal in the Robinson. That's the difference that they talk about. They're not talking about so much that, oh, it's left pedal in the, you know, the Cabri or vice versa in the Robinson. And so they're not talking about those things. They're talking about how much pedal you're applying. I think that's really critical. I think if there's any instructors that are out there listening to this right now, maybe take note of that instructional style, and don't focus so much on, oh, it's left pedal in this, it's right pedal in this. Just focus more on keep the nose straight, make the helicopter do what you want the helicopter to do in whatever state of flight that you're in, and I think you're gonna be just fine, okay? So if you guys are in the shoes where you're gonna be flying one type of helicopter, now you're transitioning to a different, clockwise to counterclockwise or vice versa, don't stress about it. Think about the way that you've been trained. That might be a good start. And then also going forward, just think, you know what, I don't actually care which way the blades are spinning. All I care about is which way the nose wants to turn when I raise the collective or lower the collective or whatever. If the nose is going left, push some right pedal. If the nose is going to the right, push some left pedal. So that's kind of my rant on this one. I don't think it's a rant, but basically those are my thoughts and my ideas on it. I hope this makes sense. I hope it's clear for you guys. And if you guys want to do me a favor, you know, there's something that you can do that's so easy for you guys that does me so much good. If you want to help out my channel, which I would love it if you guys did, there's a couple things that you could do right now for me, okay? So first of all, there's that little like button, that little thumbs up button. Just go ahead and click that right now. That's really cool. That helps. Leave a comment below. Tell me what your experiences are with these two different types of helicopters, or if you're stressed about transitioning from one to the other. Leave those in the comments below. The more comments that you guys leave, the more community that we create, and that's really helpful as well. And then if you haven't, subscribe to this channel. So that's really easy to do. Hit the subscribe button, the notified bell if you guys want to get notified about new videos. And then if you think, hey, you know what? I know somebody that is currently flying Robinsons and they want to try a Cabri, or they're transitioning from a Robinson to an Astar, or whatever it's going to be. Go ahead and share this video with them. I think they would find it really valuable. Those are the things you can do to help me, you guys. Stay safe, keep washing your hands in these crazy times, stay home if you can, and we're gonna talk to you guys on the next video. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.